Do you want to lower your odds of developing cancer? Or how might you accidentally create a cascade of health problems, just like dominoes, that could well lead to poor health and your early death from cancer? The clock is ticking, folks. The dominoes I'm talking about are weight gain, fatty liver, leaky gut, and inflammation, which all lead to increased odds of cancer. So, let's play healthy or hurtful as regards common food choices that you need to make today. Let's look at just 7 common food choices. To increase your odds of cancer, all you need to do is get any one of the next 7 decisions wrong. I've spent nearly 30 years studying human metabolism, and one thing that has taught me is that healthy is one of the most dangerous words in nutrition. In fact, there are a number of foods that everyone believes to be either healthy or hurtful, but these marketing labels are quietly doing real damage. In this video, we're going to test healthy or hurtful food labels. And my promise is this: after this video, you'll want to rethink everything you've been taught your whole life. This video will almost certainly shock you. Maybe it'll even piss you off. So, let's go. Number 1, fruit. We're told from a very young child that fruit is healthy.
Eating fruit makes us strong and healthy.
It looks yummy.
How could fruit cause health problems? Everybody knows fruit is healthy. It contains vitamin C, don't you know? So, we can lock that in, can't we? Fruit is healthy. Well, hang on. Here's what nobody seems to mention. Basically, the fruit sugar, known as fructose, lowers the energy level in your liver, which can cause it to send massive hunger signals. It can drive overeating, overfatness, and fatty liver, all of which can serve as the first stage in the death spiral. Also, gout is more likely if you eat a lot of fructose, and gout is extremely painful and can cause serious inflammation in your body. We know that inflammation is often the starting point of cancer, among other serious diseases. So if you eat a lot of fruit, you might want to rethink that. Am I a science denier? Well, no. Science has serious limitations when we look at cause and effect relationships such as healthy and unhealthy. This is precisely because we cannot do experiments on humans. If anything, I insist upon science. That's why we need to look at all the science regarding eating red meat. That's the next one, by the way. So, here we go. Number 2, red meat. Oh, this one's easy, right? There are hundreds of studies telling us that eating red meat raises our risk of cancer. Slam dunk. Meat is hurtful. Well, let's just list all the studies that provided any experimental evidence to support this claim, shall we? The studies suggesting that meat raises your risk are actually completely misusing the term. These studies are non-experimental, associative studies. People are registered for the study and they go about their lives. They tell the researchers how much meat they eat, and the researchers believe them. Then the researchers follow up with these people every few years or for several decades or however long the study goes for to see who has and who has not developed cancer. Usually what the researchers find is a relatively small, statistically significant but practically useless increase in cancer incidence, and not risk, by the way, associated with the red meat eating. But what else is also associated with cancer in such studies? Well, older age at outset, less exercise, more drinking, more smoking, and so on. So what the researchers do is they adjust their findings to account for this.
This equation models the relationship between multiple independent variables.
There are several scientific reasons why this procedure is not at all appropriate. which I'll cover in an upcoming video. In short, however, scientists report what they observed under control. Propagandists fabricate results that they did not observe. So, if you chose meat is hurtful, I can't agree. And the issue is, if you're avoiding meat, you're probably choosing other options which might well be more likely to actually be hurtful. So, let's look at some of the common choices to see what you think. Let's start with wheat. Yes, number 3, wheat. Yes, wheat, the very staple of the healthy diet, the food most often eaten by folks in the Western world. We've all heard 1,000 times or more to eat our healthy grains, haven't we? So, wheat is healthy. But here's the big elephant in the room. We've all heard of wheat gluten by now, which is a protein that can lead to leaky gut. This is when the cells lining your gut do not link together properly, and this can lead to all sorts of nasties leaking through your gut lining and into your blood. Obviously, anything that should not get into your blood, that does get into your blood, will cause your body to mount an immune response. And part of that response is yet more inflammation. So, if you like the idea of being inflamed, and therefore at higher odds of developing various forms of cancer at some point, then I'd say get into that wheat. If, on the other hand, you're the sort of person who wants to promote gut health and well-being, then obviously you'll need to replace the fibre that you would have got from the wheat with some other form of fibre, because we all know fibre's good, don't we? Number 4, fibre. Yes, studies show that fibre is associated with lower cancer rates, and of course, we all know that fibre prevents constipation, don't we? So fibre's good. Fibre's healthy. Stick with the fibre. Well, as usual, other perspectives are available. I personally love what Dr. Paul Mason has to say on this one.
Now, there's been a lot of suggested benefits to the ingestion of fibre. This includes preventing bowel cancer, preventing diverticulosis, helping hemorrhoids, lowering blood sugar levels, and of course, treating constipation. Firstly, fibre is not a necessity for a healthy diet. Now, for such a widely accepted and believed claim, you'd think there would be compelling evidence to back it up, except there's not. So I'd like to present to you the best trial that I could find. This was a case-controlled study. So in this study, 63 patients who presented with constipation were recruited, and high and low fibre diets were compared in these patients. And this also included a zero fibre diet that required the complete cessation of all vegetables, cereals, fruits, wholemeal breads, and rice. So this graph here represents the percentage of study participants before the study suffering from each of the symptoms listed on the right side. And when the study participants, those who went on a high fibre diet, we can see that the proportion suffering symptoms actually increased, especially bloating. So then there was a reduced fibre arm. So the question is, what happened to those, the majority of those in the study, who had zero fibre in their diet? This is not a mistake. I didn't just forget to put something in the slide there.
So, finally, on fibre, there are those who will tell you that fibre is needed so that your gut bacteria can make a fatty acid called butyrate, which your gut cells need. Well, it turns out that your gut cells can get the butyrate they need from the blood in the form of ketones. So, if you chose fibre is healthy, maybe I've given you enough reason to rethink that too. So, obviously, seeing as you don't want to miss out on all that plant-based goodness in your diet, you'd better double down on the leafy greens, yes? So, number 5, leafy greens. Yes, leafy greens have been an absolute building block for everyone claiming to be nutrition experts forever. Again, this is just accepted accepted narrative, isn't it? Here's what nobody mainstream tends to talk about. Oxalate. Oxalate is a small molecule which is found in leafy greens that can accumulate in your body. Over time, oxalate forms sharp, needle-like crystals anywhere in your body. These can cause severe pain and massively increase our developing inflammatory profile. Well, if you haven't already clicked off to go and watch cat videos or something like that, you'll probably be ready to make a call on nuts next. Yes, number 6 is nuts. Nuts are great, of course, because they contain protein. Okay, well, nuts are an allergen for many, so they're a no-go for those people. But if you're not one of those people, there's no problem, right? So nuts are good. Nuts are healthy. Well, yeah, there is a problem. Nuts often come with a dose of a toxic mold-based byproduct known as aflatoxins. Plants that grow nuts have formed a symbiotic or partnership with certain molds that make these toxins. What do the aflatoxins do? Well, they get at your DNA and they mess it up. One of the few things scientists are absolutely sure about as regards cancer is that messing up your DNA is one of those things that seems to really crank up your odds of developing cancer. So, it's just a handful of nuts. Well, it might also be a handful of DNA-altering aflatoxins. So, there we go. Maybe you want to rethink the nuts too. Anyways, we are one step away from the end of our list of 7 for today. How have you done? I hope you're running 6 out of 6. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to bring you the good oil on nutrition and the odds of cancer. Speaking of good oil, let's hop to our last food item. Dum dum dum. Number 7, omega-3 oil. Specifically, I'm talking about omega-3 supplements. Even many of the good and reliable companies' products. Good and reliable companies. Do you need some omega-3 in your diet? Well, yes. But I'd say get it from fresh seafood and to a lesser degree, but still sufficient, from ruminant meats such as beef and lamb. Everybody thinks omega-3 supplements are safe and effective. Safe and effective. Mostly because that's the way marketing executives describe them over and over again. But what does the science actually say? Well, the problem with omega-3 supplements is a byproduct of the omega-3 when it reacts various things like oxygen and heat, really, during the manufacture. And again, while it sits in the bottle, oxidation can occur to some degree as well, and rancidity can occur. So one of the most dangerous oxidation products is called aldehydes. Scientist Pim Johnson and some clown that she was working with at the time showed how aldehydes can build inflammation, wreck your cell membranes, kill off cells entirely, or worse, bind to your DNA and change it all around. Remember that messing your DNA up is a surefire way to increase your odds of developing cancer? So, who does this hit the hardest? Well, all the foods that people generally think of as healthy in this list, who is most likely to eat these 5 healthy foods? Well, people who are trying hard to be healthy. Thinking the wise grown-ups at science have provided them with the best gold standard advice. Well, actually, the advice you've all been given comes from marketers and not from scientists. So, don't end up being a statistic. Studies show the best way to avoid becoming a statistic is to hit like and to subscribe. You might also enjoy this video.